What's going on, everybody? It is Gino breaking down UFC pairs from a DraftKings and betting perspective. This is the full breakdown. I've got all the lines, and we're going to go through each fight piece by piece and then talk through what we like, where we think we can go, where we think the money's at. Before I get started, if you have not done so, please hit the subscribe button, hit the like the video, and then leave me a comment of your favorite fight on the card this week. Tell me who your favorite DraftKings fight is. That's my baby. That's my love. I want to hear what is your favorite DraftKings fight for this weekend. All right. So first we have Gane versus Tuivasa. Now I'm not going to overthink this. I still think Gane wins. I don't really see Tuivasa being able to handle a guy like Gane. It made me feel a lot better when I was listening to Cody Safdie because I was listening to another guy, and he was like, oh, and Gane killed Gane. No, I went back and watched it, too. He didn't. Now, Gane was stupid at times and put himself in bad situations, but he's young. He's still learning. I mean, what did they say? He started doing this like 4 years ago. I think that he continues to get better. I think he makes an example out of Tuivasa, and I think he gets a finish here. He could get around 1 plus 330. Now, you'll notice I at first, and if you follow me on Twitter, I was all over Gane. I was like, I'm just loading up on him. I don't care. He's $9,500, and while he's great, he doesn't tend to score all that well. And he gets the fight done. He's $9,500. So I have to look and wait for ownership, and you'll see there's actually some other people that I like at high price points that I think we can get some leverage on in terms of ownership. Robert Whittaker versus Marvin Vettori. No disrespect to Robert Whittaker. He's a great fighter. But I like the plus 195 on Vettori. I think it's a little bit steep for a guy like that. I think that he could beat Whittaker, and I think he's better than a plus 195. With that being said, he has a ceiling of 11 takedowns, which he got against Holland. But, I mean, I don't see that happening here against Whittaker. I do see the potential of him possibly hitting that decision mark, which is plus 330, and he's only $7,400, which was striking, and over the course of 3 rounds, he could score well. Typically, he scores well in his 5-round fights, but I do like him here. From a betting angle, I'm going to chase that value and bet him at plus 195. Now, Whittaker's still a good play. I don't love his price at DK, though, so that's kind of a buyer beware for me. I'm going to be more towards Vettori in terms of betting as well as DraftKings. Now, Dichenko versus Kopylov. This one, I like the chance of a finish. I'm not quite saying all in yet. I got to see what these ownerships are. But at 8,200 and 8,000, I really like this fight as a possible all-in fight. I like the chance of somebody hitting. You got a plus 350 KO TKO for Dichenko. You got a plus 400 KO TKO for Kopylov. And the under 2.5 is plus 140, which tells you that's not out of the realm of possibilities. I'm going to go Kopylov to hit that KO TKO. Probably put him in some parlays, but this will be a good fight. You got nearly even money. So with that being said, I like the chance of a finish, and there's a good chance I just go all in on the fight. Paratz versus Makdessi. I'm going to go Makdessi, but I don't like this fight at all for DraftKings. I don't see it scoring well. I think both guys, it's not like either guy's like priced super generously. So the one thing is, Hack Paratz, the one thing that's making me think about maybe going a little bit heavier on him is that plus 225 KO TKO. He's plus 500 to get it done in round 1, so I don't think you can just fade him. But if you look at Makdessi, he's going to get a decision, and it's not going to be some like high-volume decision. That's not how he's going to beat this guy. He's going to use his experience, coast his way to a 3-round decision over time, which typically does not bode well for DraftKings. Nathaniel Wood versus Charles Jourdain. I like Nathaniel Wood here. I think they're both good fighters. I'm loading up on the fight, but I like that plus 800 on Wood getting a submission. I think he could do that here. I think he's quick. People are really discrediting his win versus Charles Rosa. I get it. It was a bad card leading up to him, but I still think he's good. I think he's a good prospect. He was at, $9,500 the last fight he was in, and now you can get him at $7,800 on DraftKings? Yes, please. Yes, I will take that. It's not like Jourdain is just unbeatable guy. He has 5 losses in the UFC. He had that submission loss to Arosa. So with that being said, I like Wood. I like him to get a submission. I'm leaning towards Wood on DraftKings, but Jourdain's definitely not one to fade. Khalid Taha versus Quinones. I'm going Taha for the KO TKO. Here's why. He's a powerful striker. He did score 127 points in his round 1 win against Salmon, and that's what he's going to need to win. That plus 225 decision, it's a little scary. The over 2.5 is minus 160, which tells you there's a good chance of this going to decision, and you look on the other side, Quinones is plus 225 decision, plus 450 to get a KO TKO, but he does have a lot of finishes on lesser cards. I like the idea of this fight getting done, getting a finish. I may actually go back, look at that under, and play a little bit of the under on this fight because I think there's value to be had there. Imavov versus Buckley. So, we've talked about Imavov earlier in the first look. He doesn't have much takedown upside, but he's plus 170, 165 to get a KO, TKO. He's plus 350 to get it in round 1, plus 550 to get it in round 2. He's also plus 450 to get a submission. The under is set at 1.5 and it's plus 155. At 1.5, I like that. I like the odds of it being a first round finish. You look at Buckley, that's what he's going to need. He's plus 600 to get a decision. If you look at what's happened to him in the past, he has KO losses to Jakurko. He has a doctor stoppage win versus Duraev. He does have a decision win versus Alhazan, but then he has that round 3 TKO versus Arroyo. I think that's his best chance of beating Imavov, but I don't see it happening. I think Imavov is the better fighter here, and I am going to bet Imavov to get the KO TKO. I may go and hit that little minus 110 for the fight to end in KO TKO. But I do like this fight. I'm loading up on it for DraftKings because of the finish potential. Stolfus versus Magomedov. I don't make a living off of going against guys from the Dogger Pass, but I am going against Cody Saptic on this one. I just don't think Stolfus is that good. I think Magomedov is pretty decent. I think they set him up with this fight for a reason to kind of give him a win. I mean, Stolfus beat Dwight Grant, but what does that even mean? Who cares? Stolfus, the one thing to think about is he's plus 400 decision and he's plus 700 submission. His probably that best chance is getting that submission. But if you look at the fight, it's plus 150 to end by KO TKO, and Magomedov is plus 400 to get it done in round 1. Now, the under set at 2.5, and it's minus 125, which makes me not love that round 1 prop, but he's also plus 650 to get it done in round 2. So I do like Magomedov. I think he does well into entering the UFC. I do think he's a good prospect. 8,900. I'm going to elevate him as of right now, but Stolfus, I see myself fading because I just don't see him landing that submission in this spot. Benoit State Dennis versus Gabriel Miranda. Now, I like Benoit here. I think he's I like that plus 330 for him to get a submission. He's also plus 180 to get a KO TKO. He's got 2 takedowns and 3 takedowns in his last 2 fights. So if he can get some takedowns, combine that with a finish and some striking, he could do well here. He has 9 finishes and 9 wins. So that tells me I like this to go under. So do the books. Under 1.5, minus 110. So look at the other side. Miranda, he's plus 400 to get a submission, plus 900 to get a decision. Big gap there. So with that being said, I'm going to be heavy on Benoit, and I'm going to match Miranda. Also, Miranda, one thing to note is he's been finished twice in his 5 losses against lesser guys than Benoit. I like Benoit. I think this 9,100, this is why I'm kind of like looking at Gane and I'm like, because there's a lot of times where you only need one $9,000 person to hit the optimal. And when I'm thinking about putting one $9,000 person, I think there's leverage in a guy like Benoit. And then I'll be talking about my other leverage piece in the plus 9,000 fighters here in a second. Zion versus Figlot. I'm going to go Zion for the value plus 170. I don't like the fight at all. I don't want to spend a ton of time talking about it. I don't see it scoring well. The over 2.5 is minus 290, which tells you it is most likely going to decision. And it's not like the guys are going super crazy with their volume to where it tells us it's going to be some great fight. Now, one thing to think about that if just being unbiased is if you're looking at that 8,500 Figlot, he's fighting a Zion who has been finished in 3 of his 4 losses. So that's one thing to consider before you just tail me on the fade of that. Perez versus Edgar. This is my leverage spot. I think a $9,300 Edgar at minus 350. She's coming out for a vengeance. We know what happened to her the last time versus Bueno Silva. It was disappointing. Perez has nothing for her. She's 6,900. I've done a video, which check that out. It's on the commonality of those $6,000 fighters landing up in the optimal, and it is nearly none ever. So, with that being said, let's look at Edgar. She's only been finished one time versus Bueno Silva, and people are still like, was it a tap? Was it not a tap? She scored 109 and 104 with her last two finishes. She's plus 300 to get a KO TKO here, and she's plus 225 to get a submission here. She could also land some takedowns, put her to the ground. Very similar to that McKenna spot a few weeks ago, and I liked McKenna. McKenna ended up paying off well for me because she was good leverage and she was in a smash spot, and I think this is very similar with Edgar, and that's why she's $9,300. And so if I'm looking at Gane projected at 60% ownership and I'm looking at Edgar projected at 20% ownership, I want to get more Edgar because I'd rather be on that less owned side so I can win more money if it hits, and there's a good chance that it hits. Finally, the under 2.5 is minus 125. Gomez versus Aarons. So I like Gomez. Gomez is plus 140 to get a KO TKO. The under 2.5 is minus 125. On the other side of it, you have Aarons. It's his first UFC fight, relatively unknown. I do think Gomez gets the win here. He's also plus 550 to get it in round 2, KO TKO plus 300 to get it in round 1, plus 250 to get a decision. So he has multiple paths to victory here. He's $8,600. I think he's in a good spot at minus 210, fighting a inexperienced Aarons in the UFC. So my pick is Gomez. I will probably play both, but my lean's going to be towards Gomez because I'll play both because I like the pricing of these guys. All right, guys. Hey, so that is it for the full card breakdown. If you have any questions, hit me up. I'm at TheRealGC9 on Twitter. Also, I'm in the Discord, DFS Army. If you don't have an optimizer, I recommend you get one because when I'm talking about ownership, that's exactly what I'm going to go to finalize my rosters. It tells me which side of the coin I want to be on. You want to be on the side of the coin that's going to have less people on it when it's typically 50-50 or fighters are even in terms of their upside, because you want to be on that side that when it hits has less people, and you'll know that by using the DFS Army optimizer. Use my promo code DFLGino to get a 10% off discount for the entirety of you being there, and then also you will get a free month of DFS Army if you sign up now, and it is NFL season. We're ready to go. I appreciate it, guys. If you have any questions, again, hit me up. I am glad to talk to anyone, and leave me a comment, and don't forget to subscribe. Thanks. Bye.